So it is November 2nd, which means I'm not necessarily late.
I have some devastating news.
With what I read in October, it just means that there's a little bit of gumption to get this video done. But I'm also in the middle of like general fall cleaning things because for a while here, I have been dealing with some middle-aged like medical mysteries, and finally I'm to a point where I have some energy again. So I'm trying to get some projects done. I have been known to turn a video into some pragmatic shenanigans. So that's what I'm going to do here today. Again, as I go through 6 of my favorite books that I read this October, because the holidays are coming. I am actively planning my Thanksgiving menu.
Hi. It is now March, and this video was filmed in November. So apparently I have been editing this on the same timescale as Continental Drift.
We're also going to sort through some yarn because my yarn collection is kind of all over right now. And I need to group them. I need to figure out what exactly I have and what I can do with it. So I'm going to keep yarn commentary to minimum. Welcome. I'm Nick. This is Dr. Cranky Pants Reads. And apparently I am attracted to hobbies in which you can become a hoarder. Books and yarn. We're not looking at the book hoarding today, but roll the music. Let's get going. Okay, so this isn't all of it. Huge surprise. But let's talk through my numbers for this month. I read in October 15 books, which was good because in previous months I have not been as like robust. And that's not saying, oh, everyone needs to read that much or numbers are all that matter, but my previous numbers have not been as great as I would like them to be. So I was glad to see that I was able to get some stuff pulled together in terms of reading this month. So I read 15 books, 5,850 pages, and it took me about 7 days to finish a book, which was nice. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. I was kind of coming off of my summer children's literature hangover because I read so much for that course that I don't even think I captured it on Storygraphs. Let's talk about some of those adult literature books that I read that I really, really enjoyed. The first one that I want to talk about is Louis Sachar, though I did hear someone say Sachar the other day when I was talking about this book. I've never pronounced it Sachar? Sachar, right? Like Louis Sachar of Holes fame, of Sideways Stories from Wayside School fame. Anyway, he has written his first adult novel, and it is The Magician of Tiger Castle, which is set in this country south of France during medieval times and features this magician who is writing in present time, talking about the past. So it opens up as he's revisiting this kingdom because it's a historic site. And he starts telling the story of the princess and her potentially arranged marriage and his role in helping her find her way into what she actually wants. I was pleasantly surprised by this book. making that jump from middle grades novels to books for other adults can often be tricky. And he did it particularly well. I thought that it worked really, really well, thinking about what an adult reader wants. There were some moments where I felt like it could have gone a little bit deeper, but that didn't really take away from the enjoyment of the overall book. I really enjoyed the magician's voice throughout all of this. Sachar does such a nice job of constructing voice, whether it's in a middle grades novel or in this more grown-up novel. I think, if I remember correctly, the magician's name was Antonini. Oof. I'm going to correct this. Editing, Nick, fix this, because you should have looked that up before you started this. But
I love that November me thought that March me would be a competent employee that is both deeply optimistic and also incorrect.
Lesson learned. Or maybe not learned. I don't know. So it is this fantasy. It's not high fantasy, but still fantasy. Princesses, kings, queens, some social messaging. And I really did enjoy it. So highly recommended if you are looking to give... If Louis Sachar was someone who you really, really enjoyed growing up, highly recommend giving this one a go. Now, the question is, how much shelter did I feel like I needed to buy when Brooklyn Tweed went out of business? Second book that I want to talk about is Where Reasons End. And this is Yiyun Li, whose book, Things in Nature Merely Grow, I talked about as a memoir last month. This book came before Things in Nature Merely Grow. Things in Nature Merely Grow was a book that she wrote in response to her youngest son unaliving himself. And this is the fictional book that she wrote when her oldest son engaged in that same behavior. It's this fictionalized conversation between her and her son, and it's book length, and it's both just astounding, but also heartbreaking. I don't know how a book with that description could be anything but heartbreaking. What is happening here? What is happening here? It's a short book. It's really, really beautiful, and you can see the kind of kernels of what she explores more fully in Things in Nature Merely Grow in this book, in this particular fictionalization of this conversation between her son and herself, and then what she does with those ideas in Things in Nature Merely Grow. It's not going to be for everyone. It is heavy. It is also really worthwhile. When we're talking about books that change us and books that ask us to really think about what we're willing to give up, that book does exactly that. Let's talk about some informational texts. The first is Say Nothing. And this book was everywhere because of Hulu. My friend Clara actually gave me this book several years ago, and I just now got around to it, which is embarrassing.
Clara, if you're watching this, yes, I read the book late. However, also edited the video much later. So really, at this point, we are just establishing some level of consistency.
This book is really deeply focused in on the Troubles in Northern Ireland, how they started, the people who were impacted by them, the families who were impacted by them, the continuing impacts of them. And I really did enjoy it a lot. How much shelter did I buy? Seriously. So have been really, really pleased with that book. Can't say that it was like uplifting reading, but it was enjoyable. Another shelter.
Books were fine. Yarn, however, is operating under its own legal framework, and we are at the point where we're just not asking questions. Like, what was happening here?
The other book that I read was Sherman Alexie's You Don't Have to Say You Love Me. This is an older book. This also is a book that came out right before a lot of allegations around some inappropriate behavior on Sherman Alexie's part came to light. And I have a couple of thoughts about that. So this particular book is about Sherman's growing up as an Indigenous person in America and how he's experienced that kind of duality of both being of American, but not ever being American enough. I really enjoyed getting my head wrapped around. But then at the same time, as he's exploring his family dynamics and he's exploring his relationship to the world and trying to, within this memoir, think about his relationships to power and disrupting power, knowing now what I know, that part just felt disingenuous to me. It felt like I couldn't go with him there. I found myself in those portions of the novel really going, oh, that didn't age well. I actually had gone to see him in St. Louis talk about this book and had bought it and then didn't have a chance to get into it before all of the shenanigans happened. Alexie is a powerful writer. Full stop. I won't call that into question. However, as a person, did some pretty reprehensible things. So that really did impact the way that I read the book. And I think part of that is the memoir genre. When you're making these claims coming out of your own life, you demonstrate the exact opposite of what you're purporting to do in your book. You're so out of sync with the politics that you are espousing. I just can't take you seriously. So beautiful writing. I really enjoyed lots of parts of this book, but it was a constant exercise in managing his cognitive dissonance between what he was purporting to talk about in his book and then what I knew to be true about what he actually did as a person in the aftermath. Ooh, that should have gone in there. Let's talk through middle grades novels, because I kvetch on this channel a lot about middle grades novels with social justice issues that are taken to the nth degree and drive me crazy. And I'm really happy that I found one that does not. The first book that I want to talk about is Sir Callie and the Champions of Helston. And in this book, we've got Callie, who is trans identifying as male and wants to be a knight. This is another medieval book that apparently was my historical fiction moment of choice this month. And what ends up happening is they are experiencing discrimination in the kingdom within which they live. And so Callie and his father go and leave. Callie's father is a knight, but one of the most respected knights in all of the kingdom. They go live elsewhere. They go find family elsewhere. So the mother's still in the kingdom. That's a whole subplot. But what I really enjoyed about this particular book is, one, it was not didactic. It doesn't do that. It didn't do that. It also complicated some things that I have not seen complicated in middle grades literature as well as I saw it in Sir Callie. So, for instance, gender in this book, beautifully delineated. I think as we're moving from Melissa to current representations of trans experiences, we can move away from that kind of didactic approach because more people are aware. And Callie explores that in such beautiful ways. I also really appreciated that this book explores masculinity privilege in ways that were really heartening. After Callie's father leaves, he falls in love with another man who is not the most renowned knight in the kingdom. The book, one, draws that distinction. Two, the feminine presentation of his partner, it doesn't make that less them. It actually empowers that. It punches up. It was a really well constructed argument and interrogation that I really appreciated. And I went into this book thinking that I was going to hate it because oftentimes I really struggle with how certain authors do not trust their readers. It makes me want to scream. This one did not. It was a book that I ran through. I enjoyed it so much that I finished it in one sitting. So, Sir Callie and the Champions of Helston, it's a series, and I'm excited to pick up the rest of the series, and I'm hoping that they retain their same magic because it was just so enjoyable to read. So enjoyable to read. The other book that I read this month in middle grades was the fourth book in the Morrigan Crow series, which I don't know why more people aren't talking about the Morrigan Crow series. The fourth book recently came out. Silverborn, The Mystery of Morrigan Crow. And was this book good? It was just cozy mystery meets middle-age magic, or middle grades magic, middle-age magic, wishful thinking. And I was just in it. I literally spent one whole day of fall break reading this book. And it's 600 pages, which, in middle grades, the translation is maybe 400 pages. But I read it all in one sitting. That's how much I enjoyed this book. You follow Morrigan as she meets some of her family. And as this is happening, there's also a murder. And Morrigan has to solve the murder using magic. And it's just cozy and lovely. And I could not put it down. I thought those were the same. They are not. I don't know that you need to read the other books in order to make sense of this one, but it wouldn't hurt. Silverborn is my new favorite of this entire series. And that's odd because it's the fourth book. After the third book, I wasn't as excited about Morrigan Crow as I had been. I don't regret it. It was a great day of reading. Silverborn, The Mystery of Morrigan Crow. So I've also made some progress on my yarn, which is good. I've got a better idea of what I actually have, which is a lot. Truth. That whole rule of like, I won't buy yarn unless I am traveling does not seem to be working. But I have a better sense now of like what kind of projects I can start producing for the holidays using what I already have. So that's really been one of the larger goals of this. Talk about books, sort yarn. I feel like that's a really specific portion of the Venn diagram on BookTube. Those are 6 of my top reads for the month of October. Now let's see how fast I can edit this and get it to you. Who knows?
5 months, apparently. Thank you for your question. Next.
As always, I appreciate you, and I hope life is good. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Gah.